This week on the Computer Chronicles, virtual universities. We'll show you how you can apply for college online. We'll show you how to go to college online. We'll visit one university that has just received a donation of $6 million worth of computers. We'll take you to a corporate virtual university that teaches networking technology, plus a look at the University of California's online extension division and a website where you can take credit courses in computer science. Plus, my pick of the week, a very special kind of word processor called scriptware. It's all coming up next on the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by SoftSource Incorporated, publishers of Pro One software, educational software for young adults.
And by Z Auction, the live online shopping experience.
And by Audio Highway, makers of the Listen Up player, which provides digital, portable, customized audio downloaded from the internet and played anytime, anywhere, on headphones or over a car radio. Additional funding from PC Connection and Mac Connection, the catalog and online superstore with PC and Mac products, toll-free technical support, and overnight delivery. And by Windows Magazine, delivering desktop, enterprise, and internet computing news, reviews, features, and how-tos for a Windows world, because the world runs on Windows. And by Learn2.com, the Ability Utility.
Hi, and welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stewart Cheifet. Well, for centuries, going to school meant traveling to some building, sitting in a classroom, walking down the hallways or across the campus to your next class, visiting the library, etc. But in today's cyber world, all of that is changing. We're seeing the beginning of a revolution in education, the virtual university. And even if you plan to go to school the old-fashioned way, the very process of applying for college has changed in this internet era with options that never existed before, like finding a college and actually applying for college online. I guess, Jim, that's the point in CollegeNet. Let's go through some of those things I mentioned one at a time. I can actually find the right college using something like CollegeNet?
Right, correct. You can click on the college search button on this cockpit for CollegeNet. And here we are in California. If you're looking for a school that has a biology major, a volleyball program, you can fill out the form accordingly and get a list of schools that meet the criteria.
So I can search your whole database of colleges and find the ones that match my needs.
Correct.
So you're saying I want a California school, has a volleyball program, and I can major in biology.
Right, you bet.
Okay.
You just point over here to California, click on California, slip down here to the major section, and type biology, and then click on the intercollegiate sports selections.
And again, you might be able to do this using books or something, but obviously it wouldn't be as efficient, would it?
Right, exactly. If you think about a book, an author has to make a decision about how to order the data. Usually that's by state, by tuition.
Right.
Well, they can't discover a priori the ordering that you want specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there are any books that order by biology and volleyball. So.
All right, so where can I go to school here?
This is what the list that we get. We have 65 schools
University
that
of San Diego.
match
Wow,
the criteria.
65 schools match that.
Right. So there's lots of choices if you're interested in those programs.
All right, let's go to the next step. Before I actually apply, I'm concerned about financial aid and scholarships. And I understand I can actually find out what scholarship opportunities are on CollegeNet?
Right, you bet. Tuition costs have skyrocketed 600%, so scholarships is a big need. Again, you can get a book of $1 billion of scholarships, but this is tailored to your profile.
So I say, this is what I'm good at, these are the things I can do, these are the
Right.
kinds of scholarships I might qualify
Exactly.
for.
Those are what your GPA was as a student.
I
where
play
you live.
volleyball,
Exactly.
et cetera.
Right. So you see here, we've entered, this is my profile. If I change my award level now, I say, well, I hoped for scholarships that were 10,000, but maybe I want scholarships that were inclusive of those that are 5,000 and up. So I just click search here, and away it goes to the database, and it calls through according to all these criteria. You can see that you can choose by residence, personal, academics, and so on.
This is kind of important because you've pointed out to me before that there are scholarships that go untaken by anybody because nobody's fit into those particular categories.
Exactly. In fact, last year there were 50 full women's golf scholarships that were unclaimed.
Good. Go teach your daughter, your 14-year-old daughter, how to play golf. All right, let's go to the next step now. And I've done all this. I want to apply to one of these colleges. I can actually do the whole application form electronically online and not fill in all the papers and use the whiteout and so on.
Yes, that's correct. You get rid of all the physical containers. You get rid of the paper, the floppy diskette, the CD-ROM. You go right to the web and you fill out your personal profile. And it's filled out right on the form itself. This is the State University of New York application. And the other good thing about the web application form is it has error checking capability in it. So it looks at each field to make
So
sure.
if I enter something wrong, like on my tax return, it says, whoop, don't send this one in yet.
Or if you've forgotten a field, it'll help you with that as well.
Okay. I want to go over two other things real quickly here. There's something very interesting you have called Stand Out, in which you sort of make it easy for colleges to find you. Explain that one.
Correct. Well, what that is if you think about it, what we've done here is we've created a network. Students can connect to the university administrative computers, pipe their application to those computers. The schools have to go to our server to pull down the applications. Now they can go to the server to find eligible students.
And they actually do that. I mean, a college goes out recruiting, trying to find good students, just like I'm trying to find a good college.
Yeah, it's very important for a school to fill its enrollment and also to get the best quality students. So they're very active.
All right, last point. You actually have 3D VRML tours of some university campuses, don't you?
Correct. Yes, we have one of the first VRML tours. And this is a 3D immersive space where you can essentially click on the campus map and cruise
Save the airfare and do a virtual tour of the campus.
Yes, exactly.
Huh?
And so this is the section you'd hit in CollegeNet. You click on the campus, and it'll pull in this VRML tour.
That's great. All right, so it's called CollegeNet. It's a free website?
Absolutely free.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's not only the internet, but today's powerful personal computers that are changing higher education, much of it driven by some very generous grants from major high-tech companies. Intel, for example, is donating $85 million worth of computer hardware to universities and colleges all across the country. We checked out one of the early beneficiaries of the Intel grant, the University of California at Berkeley.
The University of California at Berkeley has embarked on a major project to revolutionize the way computing power is distributed and processed. The Computer Science Department found a novel way to harness the power of parallel processing by combining over 100 Sun workstations through an unusual network called MiraNet.
And what these new networks, and they're beginning to be called system area networks, allow you to do is really build large-scale systems in a tinker-toy fashion. So you can plug together working systems to build larger working systems, and it has some very nice properties about pieces of them can break while the system and a whole stay together.
The NOW project is matched by an equally clever use of hundreds of hard disk clusters called tertiary disks. NOW's shared multiprocessors have access to hundreds of gigabytes all at once. The advantage of using industry standard hardware was its low cost. Making the processors and disks work together was the challenge.
What had been lacking is, in some sense, the interface between the software and the networking hardware. And I call this the last 2 inches problem. So part of our work has been to develop very fast communication layers. We have a concept we call virtual networks that essentially gives the user program the illusion of having its own dedicated network that it can access directly. And this is very much like virtual memory.
In a bow to the economics department, the NOW project's next phase, called Millennium, uses a kind of shared free market approach to provide as much computing power as each user can afford.
It's a concept that we sometimes call a computational economy, that it's an experiment to really organize a system, a computer system, as a form of an automated economy where the individual pieces of it can essentially negotiate for resources, for where data lives and where they're going to get their computing done.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Sarah O'Brien.
Perhaps the most revolutionary development in bringing PCs, the internet, and colleges together is the concept of the virtual university, a campus that exists only in cyberspace. One of the best examples we found is something called the California Virtual University, and Tara, that's what you're working on. So who owns this university? I mean, where does it come from? How's it managed?
All of the higher education segments in California have come together to create an online catalog of all the distance learning course and program offerings that are in existence today.
So this is sort of a superset of all the online classes available at every California college
a gateway
university.
to anything that might be out there.
But the university is, I mean, you don't have a building. There is no such real thing as this virtual university.
No.
It's just the cyber university.
Correct. And we are not a separate institution. We will not be granting degrees ourselves. We will just be working with the existing colleges.
Okay, so you're a gateway, as you say, into these other.
Correct.
All right, let's see how this would work. I log on to your website, the California Virtual University, and I want to take a class in something. How do I go ahead and do this?
This is our homepage, and you would go ahead and go to the online catalogs. This is a link to 65 different campuses right now that we have who have online or telecourse offerings. You would then go to one of the specific campuses, this one being De Anza, and this one has their fall course offerings, and we might pick an intermediate algebra course. And this gives you all the information you need to know about this specific course, and then we'll give you registration information, so then you can decide if this is a course that you want to take.
All right, so normally the whole point here is that it doesn't matter physically where the college is, right? So,
correct.
I mean, suppose I want to take a class in algebra, I need it for work or just want to learn algebra.
Right.
I would theoretically be able to go in here eventually and say, who's offering introduction to algebra around the entire state?
Exactly. Eventually we're going to, this is our first phase, this is our first public website, and we're going to be coming out with our next phase that will have an interactive catalog that you'll be able to search for courses and programs by interest.
What's the general point here, Tara? What are the advantages? Why do we need a virtual university? What are we getting out of this?
Well, right now there's no one place that you can go to get information about distance courses, about where you can take these courses. So this will be an easy way to find those courses. We're also trying to create a virtual community around these courses. Other services where you can apply online, where you can find out student aid information, and where all the different groups, the students, faculty, etc., can come together and discuss the distance learning.
Now, one thing, as I understand it, that's cool about your virtual university is I can actually say, hey, here are the kinds of courses I'm interested in taking. If College X is offering it next semester, I'm going to get an email somehow and say, you know, the thing you were looking for, somebody's actually going to offer it in February.
Correct. You can register on our site, and we will then send you any information on courses or programs in the area you are interested in.
Could we see what that looks like?
Absolutely. You go to register, and you would simply just pick one of our identified interest areas and give us your first name and last name and your email address, and we'll notify you when those come up.
So that's really taking advantage of the whole sort of virtual cyber concept.
Exactly, the push technology.
All right, then I can go ahead and actually register online through the virtual university and then take the classes.
You can take the classes. You will register with each individual campus. Each campus will maintain their academic regulations, so then you will follow.
Do I have to live in California to take the classes?
Absolutely not. You can live, we've gotten people in Jordan,
That's
Tokyo.
great.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Well, the virtual university is a cool idea for traditional students, but it's even a better idea for older students or those interested in continuing education. One of the leaders in this field is the Extension Division of the University of California at Berkeley. And Chuck, that's what you're working with. Give us a general introduction. And I want to take an extension class at UC Berkeley. How do I begin the process?
You would begin by signing on to America Online, which is where our courses reside.
So you're based in AOL.
That's correct. And you could go right to the orientation where you would get information. You could take a tour to see how it works. You'd get information about UC, about the instructors, etc. You could then go and choose a particular class. We have a variety of classes. As you can see, there are 6 different categories.
So this is
classes
basically the catalog of courses
that are available online.
All right,
That's
so you've picked the arts and humanities. So let's take that writing class, for example, a short story writing class.
All right. There's a picture of the instructor. There's an overview of the class where the instructor tries to familiarize the students with what's going to happen in this class, what is covered, and so forth. There is each unit a writing assignment.
So wait, this is the actual coursework I can anticipate then. So I'm saying, hey, Unit 1, this is the assignment you're going to be given and what you're going to have to do and so on.
That's correct, which you would then email back to the instructor. And there's a unit assignment for each of these. There are resources available to the students. For example, here are course notes from the instructor about the character dossier and how that's to be written and what that contains and so forth. There are also a number of resources, for example, internet links for this particular class, and these are all class-specific for that particular
So the
class.
instructor or somebody's done this work ahead of time and saying, hey, these are the websites, the net links, whatever, they're going to support you in this particular class.
That's
so
correct.
Kind of talk me through the process. What does it feel like to take a course online through UC Extension? What do I do? Do I attend lectures 3 times a week or what?
No, you would sign on. You would receive your materials both through the U.S. mail and through email that are sent to you over your computer. You would then complete your reading assignments and begin to communicate back with the instructor. Many of our instructors tell us that they have actually more interaction with students than they do in a traditional classroom.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. We're talking about a writing class in which you need a lot of feedback and criticism from other students and so on. Does that take place, what, in a chat room or through email or what?
We have both message boards where students go and conduct a small group assignments that have been designed for them by their instructor, as well as chat groups where they can communicate amongst themselves and work on the assignments that the instructor has identified.
Is there any data to suggest, Chuck, that this works better or worse than a traditional classroom experience?
There's a lot of data that says that retention and comprehension are equal to the classroom, and several pieces of data that suggest that it can be done in a much shorter period of time as well.
And you say the professors say they find more interaction among students in the online university than in the field. Why
Yes,
would
they
that
do.
be?
Primarily because of the amount and volume of email contact going back and forth between the student and the instructor.
That's amazing. So you actually get more social interaction and sort of class interaction in this virtual class than you would in a real physical
Yes,
class.
and one-on-one, too.
Yeah, that's great. All right, thank you very much, Chuck.
You're welcome.
Well, the demand for technology education and training is so great that today's colleges and universities just can't keep up. It's estimated, in fact, that there are nearly 200,000 job vacancies in the high-tech field right now. To address this need for additional high-tech education, Cisco Systems, the networking company, has created its own virtual university called the Cisco Networking Academies.
Whose IP address? MAC address.
These students at the Thurgood Marshall High School in San Francisco are learning about transmission protocols by acting out the movement of messages across a network. This little play is part of a course developed by the school and Cisco Systems. Their goal is to fill an urgent need for skilled computer network designers in both business and education.
They get trained staff in the way of students that understand how to design, build, and maintain networks. So they are able to implement these networks in a school environment where in the past they weren't able to. They didn't have the staff available to them or the staff that had the knowledge to do this. The advantages to Cisco is we ultimately are able to supply to the workforce a skilled set of students with the same skills that can then use them in the small businesses, large businesses, Fortune 500 companies.
Cisco Systems began the project in 1993 to connect secondary schools and colleges to the internet, but found that once engineers finished installing the hardware, there was no one left to maintain the networks. The solution was to teach workshops at first.
But those workshops were so successful, we taught them in over 30 cities around the country over an 18-month period, that the schools in Thurgood Marshall, one of them, actually asked us, is there a way to integrate this and develop a curriculum?
Today, the 4-semester program has expanded to over 50 schools nationwide, and test scores average 83%. Cisco calls it the shop class of the 21st century. But the high school's teachers also see the course as a path to self-confidence.
I see the students, particularly with the second semester students, I really see them progressing in their knowledge of the technology and just their confidence with problem-solving skills. Like, you know, it's not so much of, oh, Mr. Gosign, this doesn't work. You know, it's like them actually sitting down and you know, saying, oh, okay, can you just give me that little piece of information and I'll take it from here.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Sarah O'Brien.
You may not want to be a full-time student or take any college courses, but you do want to learn new skills maybe and qualify for a better job. Well, you can do that online also. One good example is a website called Digital Think, and this is your invention. So let me ask you about Digital Think. We've heard a lot so far in the show about how you find classes and register and all that kind of stuff. I want to see what the experience is like to be a student in an online school, in an online class. So where do I start here? If I want to take, let's say, a Java programming course in your Digital Think College.
Okay, well, after you have registered for the course and paid for it, obviously, you hop to your locker here. We're inside the locker. The first thing I'm going to do is...
So that's like all my stuff, you know.
All your stuff is stored in your locker.
Right.
Now, you can see I'm registered for quite a few courses here because I do a lot of demos, obviously. I'm going to hop right into our Intro to Java course, which is one of our more popular courses, as you could probably imagine. First thing that happens, as you see here, is our content loads in the screen. Our content is delivered almost 100% over the web itself. So while we have reference books, for example, most of the content we have you read directly off a screen.
Well, let's go to the basics. I'm deciding to take this Java course. I want to look at the course syllabus to get an idea of what I'm going to learn. Where do I find that?
Well, you click on a toolbar over here on the left-hand side of the screen, and the syllabus loads. And the syllabus is basically an outline of the entire course. I'll scroll down through this. So you can see our courses are quite extensive. They go very in-depth, and when you're finished with a course, for example, on Java, you know how to code.
All right, so let's say I've just started the class, and how do I meet my professor, my classmates, find out what's going on?
Okay, well, one good way to do that, for example, is to maybe do a search on your classmates. So let's go to the classmates area, and if I work for a company like Texas Instruments, I could do a search on Texas Instruments here.
So which other people who work for my company are also taking this class?
Exactly.
So I want to know if I have any buddies in the class?
Yeah. Now, in this case here, Texas Instruments is one of our customers, obviously, or I wouldn't have searched on them. And you'll see a few TI folks pop up here that are currently taking this course at their company.
All right, so I might have little study group buddies I'm going to find here, or people I'm going to talk to in discussions.
Yeah.
And here's all the guys from TI that are taking this class.
And if I'd like to, I could click on this link right here, which I went to, and send them an email and say,
all right, so that's sort of the cyber social aspect of getting to know who's in my class. Let's go back to the class itself. I saw you had something there in which the instructor sounded like a first day in school, like why are you taking the Java course? What do you want to get out of this class and so on? What is that?
Well, Digital Think's courses are a combination of stand-up training and book and CD learning. One of the ways we've tried to incorporate some of the stand-up training is by having discussion sections and discussion topics in each lesson that the students can participate in. So in this case here, the instructor is posing a question: what attracted you to learn Java?
Okay.
And now if I wanted to click through and go see what people are responding to that, I come to the bottom of the lesson where there's a discussion button, and it brings me to the discussion area where that topic is actually being, in asynchronous time, so not in real time, but...
Okay. So I have a sort of news group that's been formed around this class, and I can follow a thread of conversation about particular topics.
Exactly.
So, all right, now how do I actually learn something? I mean, I saw I had an assignment there to create a Java applet to get something to say, hello world. Who teaches me to do that? How do I learn that?
Well, a lot of the content that you need to learn how to do that is inside the web browser itself. So you read about how to code,
Can we see what that looks like?
Sure. Let's, for example, click on an exercise here. This exercise means that you're going to alter a applet here and compile it in your own compiler, and then when you're finished with it, you copy it into this area right here, and you submit it by clicking OK, I'm done.
All right, so I learn how to do it, I code it, I write it, I submit it, and somebody grades it and says that was well done, that wasn't well done.
Exactly. We have experts that understand Java very well. You can ask them questions, you can submit your code, and you actually get graded out of Digital Think.
You have quizzes and exams and so on to test my knowledge besides just writing the
Yeah, well, let's hop to a quiz real quick. Every lesson has a quiz that is tied to it, and you can actually go in and compare your quiz grades to other people in the course if you like, if you're competitive. So here's some questions here. I'm going to just answer randomly here, and we'll see how I do. Probably not too well, obviously.
And so, suppose I wasn't sure and I had a question. Do I contact my professor? I send him an email, or how does that work?
There's multiple ways you can actually check and get questions answered. One way is to submit an email to a tutor. One way is to use the discussion boards. Another way is to participate in a live chat. You can also see who's currently online to see if one of my fellow students, for example, can answer my question.
Real quick, does it seem to be working in terms of teaching?
Yeah, because we're a client-server system, we know exactly how our students feel about what we're doing. At TI, for example, we get 8.9 out of 10 as our average score that we're given.
So obviously you can get a lot of feedback because of the very nature of where you are.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. All right, that's our look at cyber education. I'll be back in just a moment with my pick of the week. Now for my pick of the week. Just about everybody uses a word processor these days, and they're great for business letters, school papers, etc. But if you are a real writer, say for television, films, or video, you need a specialized writing tool. Most professional writers address their special writer's needs by creating cumbersome macros in their word processor, if they know how. But now there's a terrific new program for writers called Scriptware that does all of this for you and then some. Let me show you. Scriptware automatically knows what a script should look like. It knows a script has basic elements like scenes, character names, dialogue, action, etc. In Scriptware, when you need to type a character name, for example, you just hit Tab and it automatically knows that character names are in the first tab position. So it automatically opens a dialog box so you can just click on the character name rather than having to type it over and over again. And since it knows that dialogue follows a character name, just hit Enter. Even when the cursor's in the middle of the character's name, Scriptware will start writing dialogue. Insert some action inside a piece of dialogue, and Scriptware automatically knows to resume the dialogue, rename the character, and add the word continued. What is really cool about Scriptware is that it even knows there are different types of scripts. Right now, I am in the film mode, but if I wanted to turn this into a video script, I just tell it to change format, and my script is instantly converted into a 2-column television-style script. Scriptware also comes with an integrated thesaurus, so you are always just one click away from a supply of fresh words and synonyms. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of a very clever writing program that lets you focus on writing your story rather than on intricate formatting customs. The program is called Scriptware from Cinovation of Boulder, Colorado. Their website is scriptware.com. That's it for this edition of the Computer Chronicles. We'll be back here again next week with more of the latest on computer and internet technology. I hope we'll see you here next time.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by SoftSource Incorporated, publishers of Pro One software, educational software for young adults.
And by Z Auction, the live online shopping experience.
And by Audio Highway, makers of the Listen Up player, which provides digital, portable, customized audio downloaded from the internet and played anytime, anywhere, on headphones or over a car radio. Additional funding from PC Connection and Mac Connection, the catalog and online superstore with PC and Mac products, toll-free technical support, and overnight delivery. And by Windows Magazine, delivering desktop, enterprise and internet computing news, reviews, features, and how-tos for a Windows world, because the world runs on Windows. And by Learn2.com, the Ability Utility.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify show number and topic.
Next week on the Computer Chronicles, Internet plugins. We'll meet author John Angel for an introductory tour to what you can do with a plugin. Then we'll show you Shockwave, the most popular plugin on the net. If you want audio, this is what you'll need, the new Real Audio plugin from Real Networks. Finally, a guided tour of Palace Space, where you use plugins to create your own cyber personality. Also, my pick of the week, a simple way to turn your computer into an electronic TV guide. It's all coming up next week on the Computer Chronicles.